everyone, and welcome to the CUD Hub podcast. I'm Arthi, and I'll be your host. Joining us today, we have two very exciting guests all the way from the University of New Brunswick in Canada, Chris Beardsworth and Sarah Song. In this episode, we will be talking about the university's rich history, the opportunities for CUD students, and how the university supports international students in a warm and welcoming environment. Hi, Chris and Sarah. Welcome.
Hi, Arti. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So before we begin, perhaps you could start with a bit of introduction. So maybe, Chris, we could start with you.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Chris Beardsworth. I'm the director of the International Recruitment Center at the University of New Brunswick. Our role is to look around the world and try to bring as many new international students into the university as we can. And that's a bit about me.
Perfect, thank you. Sarah, perhaps more about you?
Yeah, of course. My name is Sarah. I'm an international student recruiter from the University of New Brunswick. I'm super excited to be here and to be in this dynamic, vibrant campus. Thank you so much for having us.
Amazing. So I know you recently visited our City Walk campus. Is this your first time in Dubai? And how has your experience been in Dubai and specifically at CUD?
Yes, it is my first time in Dubai and also at CUD. And right away, as soon as I stepped out of the car, I realized how dynamic and diverse the campus was, and super vibrant as well. So I was very pleasantly surprised, and it was really exciting to be in the environment like this.
It is. We're home to over 120 nationalities,
Wow.
Students over here. Chris, was this your first time? And perhaps you could speak to us about what was the main focus of your visit this time.
No, this isn't my first time. I've been traveling to Dubai a few times a year for probably the last 10 or 15 years. And,
Oh, wow.
and I certainly have fond memories of the old CUD campus where I first met with students that were interested in transferring to programs at UNB. So the new campus is definitely a lot different, a lot more modern. I think it's extremely unique. I think it's a great opportunity for students. I think there's a lot of nice public gathering spaces that creates a much more social sort of vibe across the campus, as opposed to things being more closed off as they may have been in a more traditional university style setting. So I think it's great. And Sarah and I are here in Dubai for about a week. We're attending a number of events that are designed to give students information about the University of New Brunswick, our programs, and what the province of New Brunswick has to offer.
So then, speaking of the University of New Brunswick, can you perhaps, the university has a very rich history. It has a long-standing reputation of being one of Canada's oldest universities. Perhaps could you share a bit about that, and how has this long history influenced the student experience today?
Yeah, for sure. University of New Brunswick is the oldest English language university in Canada, established back in 1785. So we've been around more than 230 years. So which means that we provide, of course, long, rich history, but also academic excellence as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's 100 years plus older than Canada.
Yes.
As a country. So we've certainly been around for a very long time. We have, because of that, we have a lot of firsts. We're the first engineering school in Canada. We're the first faculty of computer science in Canada. A lot of big firsts that we have at UNB. And I don't think students are selecting an institution because it's old, but I think that there's a sort of badge of quality that comes with having such a long history like we do at UNB.
Absolutely, and such amazing, interesting, and also cool facts for our listeners. So speaking about it, UNB is also quite well known for your research and innovation. I wanted to know if you could tell us, how can our students benefit from the research opportunities and the resources that are available at UNB?
Well, I think that we are a research-intensive university, and we always have been.
Right.
That's It's always been heavy on research. Research is very important in all of our faculties, and research helps drive success for the students at the undergraduate, graduate levels, and beyond. I think we have recently, and by recently I'm thinking within the last 10 years, we've added the Canadian federal government's National Institute for Cybersecurity on our campus in Fredericton. So this is Canada's National Centre for Cybersecurity. But it allows students in our computer science program, those that are studying cybersecurity and computer science, it allows them some access to what would probably be a group of some of the top researchers in computer science on the planet. So I think that there's an advantage for students being that close to these larger research centers. And whether it's biomedical engineering or whether it's the Canadian Rivers Institute on our campus in St. John, I think just being near to those centers is important for the students. Because those centers, of course, they're attracting some of the best and brightest professors from all over the world.
Very true.
And then that carries on into the classroom, and it gives the students access to some of the best minds.
Very, very true. And to add on to that, Canadian academic excellence is quite well known worldwide for our quality of education. And, we've come up with some of the best inventions in the history of humankind. So speaking on that, Sarah, you had mentioned earlier it's your first time in Dubai. You saw how diverse CUD was, and very similar to Canada, in fact. So for students who are thinking about transferring from here to Canada, specifically UNB, what's it like? How does UNB create a welcoming environment for students who are transferring from here to, a different country? Because I know back when I was in school, going from high school to university was such an overwhelming journey. It's like entering a new world. So in this case, they're moving countries halfway across the world. So what's it like at UNB?
So at UNB, we have total population about 10,000 student population, and about 25% of that are made up of our international students from all over the world, almost more than 100 countries. So which makes a very diverse community as well. But in terms of just in generally, I find our UNB community, but not just the school, but the New Brunswick community, the Fredericton, St. John city communities. I think people are very proud of themselves in supporting one another. And if students need help, or I know it's big move from coming from another country to another country. And as I am originally from South Korea to New Brunswick, Canada. It was a big move, of course, but everybody's there to help, and then we have a lot of support services. For example, international student services, we do a lot of work to make sure that everybody feels at home, and then that everybody is welcomed. So I think, in general, tightly knit community that makes it much easier for our students to come to UNB and New Brunswick.
Truly, truly feeling like you're part of a community definitely adds on and gives you a positive experience at a university, especially at such young age. You're away from home, but you're building your own community. You're building lifelong relationships. So speaking, or still staying on transitions, how does UNB support students transition from their undergrad studies to professional careers, or perhaps what is the focus on experiential learning that UNB provides to your students?
Yeah, experiential learning is key nowadays. So you would find experiential learning opportunities in every one of our faculties. We have 14 faculties at UNB, and each and every one is embedded with some type of an experiential learning opportunity for the students, whether it's co-op or whether they're internships, paid internships, or preceptorships, whatever there are. We are trying our best to encourage students to gain at least a little bit of Canadian work experience while they're taking their degree at UNB. I think this helps them understand a little bit more about how the business world or how the world of work may operate inside of Canada, because it may not be the same as it is in their home country.
Right.
I think it gives them a different sort of perspective. I think it can also help to motivate students. So if students have a chance to be working in a Canadian company, say for a 4-month co-op term, they're learning what it's like. They're getting a chance to live it, to see it, to feel it, and it can help motivate them that maybe this is something that I really do like, and maybe this is someplace that I can continue to explore as I complete my degree. So, along with just not with co-ops and internships or experiential learning, we try to get the students in front of as many employers as we possibly can during the course of their academic career. So we'll be hosting career fairs 2 or 3 times a year on campus, where employers will visit the campus and the students have a chance to walk around and ask questions and learn a little bit about what that particular company might be doing in Canada and whether or not it might be a fit for the student. And then beyond that, of course, university has employment and employment counseling centers on both of our campuses, where we can help educate the students in what it's like to create a CV for a Canadian employer. Again, it may not be the same as it is for an employer someplace else. There are rules to follow for a Canadian CV, and we want to make sure that the students understand that. And it's also a place where they can find job postings. So whether it's part-time work that they can do while they're studying at UNB, or whether it's jobs and positions that would be more attractive for students who are leading up to graduation, there'll be places for them to work and go.
What would be some of the programs that you think would be particularly interesting for CUD students or students moving, from Dubai to UNB?
Yeah, well, as a partner with CUD, I think students would want to focus more on the programs where we've already established a pathway. The pathways would equal what we refer to as a 2+2. So we can do a couple of years here at CUD and then finish the final 2 years at UNB. So I know currently we have pathways into our business program, so the BBA degrees. We have pathways into computer science. I talked earlier about the Center for Cybersecurity, which I think is extremely important. Mm-hmm. We have pathways into electrical engineering. We have pathways into psychology. And I know we have other pathways that are being worked on now, and we want to keep developing them so that students have lots of option as they're thinking about transitioning from perhaps CUD into UNB.
Wow, that all sounds like such a great student experience, but I'd like to dig more. Sarah, you spoke about, what a tight-knit community and all the other, options or features are being given to students to support them in the campus life. So beyond academics, could you give us a bit more insight into how does their campus life and community involvement be like?
Yeah, for sure. We have actually a lot of clubs and societies and sports clubs or inaugural sports. And we also have a Curry Center in our Fredericton campus, which was built for the healthy community living. So a lot of our students, they do go for workouts. They do have cardio centers and Zumba classes and things like that as well. Throughout the year, there are a lot of events and social events and networking sessions as well, like coffee chats with alumni and things like that. So there are a lot of opportunities for our students to engage in and also get involved in the community as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. I wish if I was back in school to experience all that all over again. Now, for our listeners, New Brunswick, the province of New Brunswick, is one of the most beautiful and picturesque places in Canada. And I do know you have 2 campuses, if I'm not mistaken. Could you, tell us a bit more about those 2 campuses, and why is New Brunswick as a province a great place for students to come live, study, and then perhaps build a life over there?
It is very different than what most people would understand from Canada. It's not downtown Toronto, it's not downtown Vancouver, but it is, in my opinion, quintessentially Canadian. And by that, I'm referring to the nature, the beauty, the colors in the fall, the snow in the winter, and the warm and welcoming people that we have in the province of New Brunswick. Also, interestingly, it is now the fastest growing province in Canada.
Wow. Okay.
The population is growing at a very accelerated rate, and that's being fed by two ways. In part by immigration. We have a lot of newcomers coming to the province of New Brunswick that are looking for opportunities there. But the second piece is even more interesting. It's what we call interprovincial migration. So these are people who have perhaps grown up and lived in Ontario or Quebec or BC, and they've realized that there's perhaps a different opportunity waiting for them in Atlantic Canada, and specifically in the province of New Brunswick. So they're moving away from larger provinces and joining us in New Brunswick, which for us is great, because as the population continues to grow, more companies are coming, there's more business, there's just a lot going on right now in the province of New Brunswick, and there's a lot for us who are proud New Brunswickers to continue to be proud of. So it makes us quite happy to see.
Yeah, and also as an immigrant, also I came to Canada back in later part of grade 8. So I did a little bit of middle school and high school and university at UNB here. So and since then, since I would say 12 years ago, since then, I've been calling New Brunswick my home, and this is where I could see myself being here for my whole life. So I think there are a lot of opportunities that students can look for as well. But people are very, very friendly and very supportive as well. So that's what I first realized when I moved to New Brunswick. I was walking down the street, and then people were saying hi and then smiling at me. I was like, is there something on my face? Like, what's happening? So but yeah, everybody's just very welcoming, and also diverse as well. Yeah,
Definitely. And that's so wonderful to hear two, different perspectives, someone who was born and brought up there and someone who immigrated there, yet both of you have such similar experience with the community and about how positive it's been. That's absolutely wonderful to hear. We're very proud of our alumni over here at CUD, and I wanted to know if there's any notable alumni at UNB, and maybe you could shed some light on it, or any cool fact, any other fact that you would like to share with us.
Sure. There's a very long list, of course, of notable UNB alumni, but I think one of the most famous is a former U.S. president, John F. Kennedy, who received an honorary degree from UNB back in the 1960s. So I think his name is well known globally, and certainly at UNB, we think of those times when he was here and visiting us on campus and receiving his honorary degree. So I think it's interesting.
Along with all the other notable alumni, I have to add. So thank you so much, both of you, for coming here today and joining us in this episode of our podcast. It's been wonderful hearing all the insights from you about UNB. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining in as well. I hope you both have a great rest of the stay, and I hope you enjoy your visit at CUD. Thank you so much for joining us, and I also hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. This was amazing, and we hope to see you soon as well.
Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to visit here at CUD, and I'm already looking forward to my next time. So Thanks again.
Thank you so much.